Well, moving on now, where the private sector partnership remains key to attract foreign direct investment. But fiscal and monetary authorities must create an enabling environment to achieve a meaningful result. Some private enterprises have what it takes to pull huge capital from abroad, but these investors want to see enabling laws and regulations that will engender confidence in private sector. Since the inauguration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, there has been policy shifts such as fuel subsidy removal, liberalisation of the forex market, and many more. All these have restored confidence in investors. Even market capitalization on the trading floor has been in the green. Partner, senior economist at SPM Professionals, a friend of the house, Mr. Paul Alaje, is joining me live via Zoom to discuss all of these issues and what it means for investment. Mr. Alaje, thank you so much. It's good to start the week with you on the program.
Thank you so very much for having me. It's a great week, and I hope it will be great indeed for all of us.
Yes. Now, looking at the moves by President Bola Tinubu in the first few weeks in office, we've seen some deliberate moves aimed at attracting investment into the country, liberalizing the foreign exchange market, going to France for the Global Financing Pact Summit, meeting with leaders, meeting with business people, trying to let them know that Nigeria is open for business. That is what we see him taking all around. For me, it's changing the perception about Nigeria. You as an economist, what positives do you see in this?
A lot of positives. When it comes to investment, the body language of the leader, the comment of the leader, policies in the country, there are things we must do correctly, and there are things that both the citizens and government must do to attract this investment. Again, you see international organizations submitting reports, and we must not take those reports anyhow. In 2015, 2016, the conversation that was in the air was about JP Morgan, when the former president had said, and his vice had said, that JP Morgan list did not really matter. We saw what happened to Nigeria thereafter, how investment, Nigeria was no longer a major center of investment. That was reviewed in subsequent years when more investors were not seeing Nigeria. In fact, I had a show with you a couple of months ago when we look at the investment. I think I was in Abuja at the time when we looked at how attractive Nigeria has been when we considered the report by the National Bureau of Statistics. And we revealed that over 80% of investment have left Nigeria just in 5 years. So what are the reasons? One of them, of course, is FX. Those who might want to do business in Nigeria feels that by the time they are leaving, they may not get the real actual value. And if they say they should access funds, the Central Bank of Nigeria may not be able to defend the Naira up to their point. Therefore, they may need to go to the parallel market. And that will mean a lot of loss to them. That said, another major consideration for Nigeria is inflation. As I talk to you, inflation figure is over 22%. What must be done to bring that inflation in real sense to a lower rate? Perhaps targeting what central bank also has in mind, 6 to 9%. But if we can't achieve 6 to 9%, at least can we go away from the territory of 20 to 15 to 12, and maybe eventually to 11 or to 9. That may take us another 4 to 5 years. But the journey of 1,000 miles begins today. What must we do to significantly reduce these monetary parameters that is driving away investors from our country? We should understand that there are other factors, but for the sake of this conversation, I may want to say ceteris paribus, other things being equal or keeping other factors constant. You've also seen, and I think you have reported, Mr. President, meeting with some investors and demonstrating that Nigeria is a place to invest. Recall that we also once had a leader who said Nigerians are fantastically corrupt. That's a policy, because the word of a leader is a policy that the country, whether we like it or not, the rest of the world, I beg your pardon, we used to view the nation. I can tell you that the leader that said Nigeria is fantastically corrupt was not lying. But the platform for which he said that was wrong, because the whole world will say, if you take your phone to Nigeria, it may be missing. So while that comment should be an action to fight corruption in Nigeria, it should not be a comment to feel that the person saying it is righteous or the person saying it is a leader that fights corruption, because the international community is watching. So I am hopeful that investment will return to Nigeria. But you see, talking investment, we've also spoken. I remember I had this conversation with you a number of months ago that when we say investment is coming to Nigeria, the question should be, where will the investment find itself to Kaduna State? Will it go to Imo State? Will it go to Sokoto State? Will it go to Borno State? Will it go to Lagos State again? Or will it go to Ogun State? This is why National Economic Council, even though it's not a substantive economic, but must understand what is in the mind of the author of our constitution. When they wrote the constitution and put National Economic Council there, it was also in their mind as to how will our state attract investment, so that when we have a representative, perhaps in a football match, the coach of the team speaking on behalf of the coach, it is not the man that we play, it is his best 11. The question we ask today is that, do we have the best 36, talking about governor, and the goalkeeper, if you ask, the FCT, can they really defend the interest of Nigeria by attracting needful investment to themselves, apart from the star boy in Lagos that perhaps have continued to attract over 40 and if you like 50% of investment? And what FCT has been doing in terms of investment attraction, what would we say of the rest of the states? Do they have the capacity to combine resources in their hands to attract useful investment via policy, via attraction to the state? And I want to believe that subsequently, when Mr. President is having the meeting, we can be more deliberate. If you are looking at those that want to invest in agriculture in Nigeria, or countries or areas where prospective investors in agriculture will go, can we look at states that have competitive cost advantage in agriculture in Nigeria and take them along so that they can also pitch? Because when we say somebody is coming to invest in Nigeria, it must be a particular land in Nigeria. It must be a local government in Nigeria. In fact, it must be a ward. This will be the way to go, so that those who are begging us to vote them in office, we know that the party is over. And when the party is over, everybody will have to bring their money to buy their own food.
Mr. Laje, you're talking about the states now, talking about the subnationals and their roles in, of course, supporting the federal government, because you're rightfully identified investment will come to the country, but where is that investment coming to? So what more do you think states, or what sort of conversations do the state governments be having? We have the Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission. What's been happening around that space? What sort of conversation are you expecting to make all of this investment coming seamlessly, of course, so that we can get the benefits and the positives of it? That's what we should be looking at now, because when those investments come, they need to come somewhere.
I agree completely with you. I cannot agree less with that comment. First, we need to know what are other states doing that is making them attract investment. When we say, it annoys when you hear executive of states say this is a civil servant state. And some states will say, apart from oil and gas, there is nothing else in these states. No, you are the chief economist of that state. You have been elected so that prosperity, the angel of prosperity, will visit the people of the state. So you now need to look, because you have population, that means people must consume. You need to invest in agriculture, provided your state have competitive advantage over that. Then come up with a plan. Set up your own economic team that will help you look at the areas where you have competitive cost advantage. Then when you are going to meet international community for investment, you can tell them that we have a sparse of land, we will give you tax rebates, that is personal income tax as state, or we're going to talk to federal government to give waiver. Is either maybe those who are starting an investment. There are different waivers that will be given at the level of federal government. And that is why the state executive will come up to say, come, we need to do this. And also, it could be that your state have competitive advantage over production. We have seen some states that when manufacturing, production, or company or processing comes to mind, those states are the ones that comes to mind. So what are we going to do? Can we ask federal government to say that we're going to make a policy that makes it necessary for of anything imported to Nigeria to be added in Nigeria? That is, you will not be giving us packaged products. You must do something in Nigeria, and these are the following states we will look at. The truth is that that is the path to development. Countries have come to know that they must first be selfish about their own country. This has nothing to do about political parties or interests. It has everything to do by removing thuggery from our streets. It has everything to do with feeding our people without government giving 5,000 that we have seen similar. Something that applicable to that in the last 8 years. Government dashing 5,000 naira out to people on monthly basis. It has never worked. India tried it, China tried it. It never worked. But what works is that government must still intervene. I'm a Keynesian economist. I'm not a classical economist that believes supply, demand and supply will adjudicate price, and somewhere along the line we are going to have a place. It doesn't work anywhere in the world. Even in America, government still intervene in cutting farms and so on and so forth. So this country will be about the people, and the government of the nation must be directly involved to aid private sector involvement to grow. And in that growth, we are going to be deliberate about working with the 36 state governors and the FCT minister to ensure that their policy is targeted towards the people. And what is the first thing for me should be all the states should come. We want a product per state or a product per local government. Yours could be manufacturing a product, it could be agriculture, whatever you have competitive advantage over. Can we all work together? In fact, what we are buying from ourselves as state, and state A say we want to depend on state B, because we need people in the other state, we keep producing. Each time we go abroad to import, we're telling people abroad, we don't need jobs in Nigeria. We want to be consumers. It's producing for us, and we keep eating. From our stomach to be big, from our head to be big, as they say in one of the proverbs in African language.
Yeah, Mr. Laje, interesting submission there. But let's move quickly to understanding the likes of the International Monetary Fund and World Bank. They've been on Nigeria to remove subsidy, increase taxes. You know, they've been telling us all of this for some time. President Tinubu has taken the bull by the horn. Now, what more should we expect from world international agencies like this regarding to Nigeria? Our debt is still on the high side, though.
What I can tell you is that the debt has increased between 2 to 4 trillion naira because we have unified exchange rates. We are trying to unify exchange rates. You see, what you must know about economic policy is that it has trade-off. If you want to fight inflation, it may lead in high unemployment. If you want to fight unemployment, it may lead in high inflation. It becomes policy somersault when inflation and unemployment are going together. Then we call it stagflation. So you may not have everything. What IMF and World Bank should know is that Nigeria is working through a new set of reforms. That is, we are looking at bringing our country from economic shackles, economic quagmire to economic prosperity. But we must understand the uniqueness of our people. We must Nigerianize our policy, because if we don't, we will soon realize that we have 133 million people. We have inflation at 22.4%. We have unemployment at 33%, projected to be 14%. We have all of these economic realities that is staring us in our faces. But in making policy, we must ensure that, yes, subsidy is gone as according to government, and we have seen that reflected. That they unify, which led to then devaluation. If you increase taxes at the same time, then you're going to have challenges. What I think government should do is to expand tax bracket so that more people comes in. If not, people's income have not been increased. If the federal government announced today, decide to announce increase for civil servants, especially the federal, it may take states some time to implement that policy. But if they eventually implement, what happens to private sector? Can that be implemented almost immediately? What private sector will do, it will help people. Because if say you must pay this amount, then I will tell you that I can also reduce the total number of people that will reduce. So we now need to deal with this. Is it unemployment we want to be faced with, or we want to be faced with more revenue? Is it inflation we want to be faced with, or quality of money that is in the pocket of people to improve? So these are choices, tough choices that we must make. And when we make these choices, we know. So talking about IMF, we should be very weary to take everything that is said to us hook, line, and sinker. I by no means discredit IMF and World Bank. They are major international organizations, but they've advised us before. Recall, during structural adjustment program, Nigeria took the policy, hook, line, and sinker. We sank inside the policy. Two, in 2015, 2016, IMF, World Bank advised us, and in fact told us that Nigerian economy is robust enough. In 2016, at the twilight of the announcement made by Christine Lagarde, the then IMF was. Nigeria went into a recession. So we would not say because it's IMF, therefore we all will be well. We must have our own set of economic team that will dissect every policy recommended to us by international organizations and know that this policy will work in a black nation, in a developing nation, in a nation with 133 million people. How will our people react to it? Will it eventually lead to prosperity for them? Or will it push pain for their throat? Tough decisions, tough economic realities, but we must not be blind to the reality of our people today.
Interesting conversation as usual. Mr. Paul Alaje, it's interesting to have you on the program. Start the week with us. He is a partner and senior economist with SPM Professionals. Do have a profitable day and a profitable week. We'll talk again later.
Thank you so very much for having me.